If you want to be growing a fall garden from seed, now is a really good time to be starting your seeds. And it is boiling hot out today, which means it is the perfect time to spend time inside and set up my seed starting station with you guys. And what I love about this is that it's so much easier than the spring version of this because A, the setup doesn't have to be anywhere near as large unless you're growing a huge fall garden, and B, you can do a lot of work outside. So I just filled my seedling tray with soil outside. I didn't have to make a mess inside. And then as they start to get older, I can up pot them outside and make a mess out there and then be able to start hardening them off. Plus, I'm only doing a single tray because it has 72 cells in it, which is enough plants for what I want to grow for a fall garden. My intention isn't to have this massive fall garden, say where my allotment is full of stuff. That's not the goal here. I just want to have some like tasty greens for the end of the season, like different kale varieties, some more Swiss chard, and then my cabbage and broccoli. So that's the plan for today. So we're going to set up the seed starting together, and I'm going to just take you through everything that I do, and then we're going to plant some seeds together. If you're new here, my name is Bree from Urban Gardening Canada, and I garden in Ottawa Zone 5. And this video is really a sign, a signal, whatever it is, motivation for you to get your stuff started too, because it's easy in the springtime to go out to a garden center and buy any of the vegetables that you want to be growing. They sell everything, but then they close up. By now, it's July 3rd today, and they already have closed up all of these shops, which means that there aren't going to be any fall vegetables for you. So you have to grow them from seeds. So that's what we're going to do today. We're growing them inside because it's just a lot easier to be able to control the weather, and you don't have any crazy rainstorms or droughts or heat waves. So everything stays safe indoors. So that is what we're going to do today. So I don't have a huge house. So this is where I'm going to be growing my stuff, in my living room here. I happen to have an open space here. And if you've ever seen my seed starting setup in the past, you know that I have a metal rack that I have with adjustable shelving on it. And I just love this rack. It is one of those ones that's just going to last you forever. So it's worth the investment to put some money into. And it is 4 feet wide by I think 20 inches. I'll correct it on the screen here if it's actually bigger than that. And it's a couple $100, which at first is expensive, but like, these are meant to last you forever. And then of course the metal is nice because it's recyclable at the end of its life, because all of the decisions that I make are trying to be as environmentally friendly as possible. And I really don't like the plastic racks, because if they break, then you just have to throw them out. And they're always made out of black plastic, which is known to be non-recyclable. It goes straight to garbage. And then they mix apparently a lot of different chemicals in it. So I try as much as possible to avoid anything made out of black plastic. But even something like this metal rack that I have has black plastic on it. It's not totally avoidable, but I try my best to avoid it as much as I can. So my rack normally has 6 shelves on it, but because of it being such a small amount of seeds that we're starting, I only have to set up half the rack, which is very exciting. So it's not a monstrosity in the middle of my house all summer long. Sometimes these are easier to build with 2 people, and obviously it's easier when you don't have junk everywhere like I do. It's not junk, those are my house plants. Sometimes what really upsets me about this specific style is that they have those black clamps that go onto the metal legs, and they don't clamp properly, and then they just slide down. It's definitely a failure in the way that they've built these things, that the clamps on the legs fail all the time. But once you get them, then it's okay. So even though that the days are long and sunny, you still need to have grow lights, because they just aren't going to get enough sunlight out of what is being given through windows. So you do want to make sure that you put it somewhere where you have an outlet, so that way you can be putting on your grow lights on here. I'm really bad at multitasking. The whole talking and working is definitely not my strength. maybe the bottom blue. Oh, every time. It's like a trap. They're just trying to squeeze all the little blood out of you. So the bottom shelf is useless. I don't put anything on it because I have cats and they are too curious for me to put anything on the bottom there. Luckily for me, they don't really bother my seeds, so I can do the next one still fairly low. They tend to leave stuff alone. Although this is a new location, so they might surprise me with being typical cats. But really, I only need one shelf because I'm not growing enough. And even once they upgrade, if they say upgrade to, I can fit 4 trays along here. Say they upgrade to the point that they need more than 4 trays of space, then that's when I'll bring them outside. So really the goal is to have a nice station where they can start to grow and we can manage the temperature, the light, and the watering. And then after that, once they get big enough, really they can go outside. So that's what makes doing this right now so much better, that it's not a big space commitment in your house compared to spring seed starting. I do want to put something plastic underneath it because of the water. I really don't want to have any water spilling on the hardwood because it'll ruin it, but I'm going to do that later. And I really only need one set of lights on right now because I only have one tray that we're going to be putting on here. But I like to just get everything set up so that way when the time comes, I don't have to do any extra work. So these are just your average shop lights that use, I think they're T8 bulbs. And pre-COVID, they were really easy to get a hold of and they didn't cost much money. They were like $30 a unit. And I don't know if they're just an obsolete item now that nobody wants to buy, or if something happened post-COVID, but now they're either impossible to find or they're really, really expensive to buy. But thankfully I probably have like 20 of these shop lights, so I have more than I need. If I wanted to set up 2 racks, I have more than I need. And I'm using some normal light bulbs, but these ones are LED ones. This is my first year having the LED light bulbs. And I like having them because obviously they save electricity, which means that they're saving money. But they're kind of expensive to buy the light bulb, which is why I only have 2 of them right now. So when it comes to times like this where I'm only running 1 light switch and I only have 1 tray, I run the LED lights because it's just better for my wallet and the environment. There. So of course, the lights need to hang as close to the seedling tray as possible. So when we set them up, we want to make sure that they are nice and low. I also want to make sure I don't break anything because the old version of these light bulbs have mercury in them. So if I break one of these light bulbs, my entire family, including my cats, will have to evacuate the house or the room for a certain period of time. So everything I do is as slow as possible. So these lights come with these S hooks and these metal chain, whatever these are, chains. So this is another thing that I like about having the metal rack, is it's easy to hook the lights onto it. And it's easy for one person to do it alone. Lights are up. And I could get a heat mat for this, but because they're all cold hardy crops and I'm not in a huge crazy rush for them to germinate, I'm not going to get a heat mat out because it's just another outlet that I have to plug in. But otherwise, this is it. Like, it's such a small unit, so it's just going to be that one shelf down there. So I am going to lower the lights a little bit because they're a little too high, but otherwise that's that. And now we can just go sow some seeds. Okay, so here is my tray that I have, and I pulled out all of the seeds that I want to be growing. So I have 4 varieties of cabbage, a variety of cauliflower and broccoli, 3 varieties of kale, and then Swiss chard, and 2 varieties of lettuce. I'm not really in the mood to label. Is that bad or what? So at the end of this planting, I am going to take a picture of where I have placed everything. So that way I don't have to label. That is the chaos I feel as of late. So I have 4 varieties of cabbage that I got from Sarah from the Sunny Hill Homestead. She runs a free seed library in Ontario, but I think she ships all across Canada. So she gave me a bunch of cabbage seeds because I told her I was getting into growing cabbage. So that is exciting. I don't have pictures of any of these types, varieties of cabbage because of how they get sent to me, but I kind of like this idea of a surprise. So this one here is Copenhagen market cabbage. This one I know is a green cabbage because I have other seeds, an actual seed packet that I got from a viewer named Paul. Thanks, Paul. All right, next up is one called All Seasons cabbage. So I have so many varieties here that technically I only have 6 cells for each variety. So I'm just multi-sowing a bunch of these cells. That way I can get more for the little bit of space that I have. It just means that I'm going to have to upgrade them that much faster later on, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal. All right, next up is one called calabash cabbage. And the biggest issue with fall gardens is that a lot of times this stuff needs to get in the ground when your heat-loving plants are still growing. So then it gets kind of awkward where you don't really want to pull out, say, a pepper plant to make space for a cabbage. And then it gets a little uncomfortable as you're trying to figure out how you could possibly plant your fall garden. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is that when the temperature gets cold enough that you think it's time to plant out your fall garden, it's too cold for your tomatoes or your peppers. So to pull them out isn't really that big of a deal because they're not going to be performing that well anyways. They're going to end up getting blight on them. So I've always found that if I get a little greedy, then I don't really get anything out of my summer garden anymore. And then I also don't get a fall garden either. So you just have to be a little ruthless and get comfortable with the idea that when you go to plant these in September, that it is in fact the end of your garden season for your tomatoes and peppers, and to let it go and to make that space for your fall garden, because what you're going to get out of your fall garden is going to be just as good as what you're getting out of your tomato and pepper garden. But these are built for that type of weather. So instead of ending up with like a tomato here or there or a bunch of tomatoes with blight on them, you can actually get an actual harvest because you're now growing something that was meant to be grown in this type of weather. But it takes a little bit of like learning to be comfortable with that. Otherwise, it feels really uncomfortable for a while. That was my amazing cauliflower. I have now found that spring gardens don't perform that well because of the fact that I'm not sure how it is in your area, but we'll get a really cold May, which May used to be like a half decent month. And now May stays really cold. And then the minute that we get to the end of May or even like the first week of June, it instantly switches into a heat wave where we're getting like a 30-degree day. It's still supposed to be springtime, and we'll go from like an 8-degree high up to 30 degrees. So these plants really like that 8 to 10 degree temperature. They're quite happy when it's cool out. And so they're growing all nice. You guys saw my video where I planted out my cold hardy garden in April, and that was already late because I happened to be out of country before then. And it flourished, but then as soon as you get that 30-degree boiling hot temperatures, these plants hate that. And then they end up bolting. So you don't really get a huge harvest off of your cauliflowers or broccolis because they've decided to bolt. I've lost track. I'm talking. I already told you guys I can't talk and work at the same time. Anyway, so they end up bolting, and then you don't really get that big of a head of broccoli or cauliflower before that happens. And I often question how like grocery store growers can do this. Are they growing in a greenhouse that they have temperature controlled to be cold? Is the question that I have, because how else can you have your broccoli and cauliflower not bolt, or else are they just, is all of the cauliflower and broccoli that we're buying at the grocery store coming from like Northern Ontario, Northern Alberta? I'm just, because around here you cannot get a good head of broccoli or cauliflower grown in your garden because of these temperature fluctuations. So what that means is that instead of doing it in the springtime, which I still do because getting some version is better than nothing, what I do is I grow in the fall again. So that way I have the ability to get a bigger head of cauliflower or broccoli, depending on if we get a cold or a hot fall is really going to also determine it. Because I think what I've noticed here is that as the climate changes, we're really losing out on the 4 seasons. It really is going from winter to summer and not really much in between, which I'm not really a huge fan of. It's kind of sad. This is romaine because I absolutely love romaine lettuce being grown in the garden. It's a really good plant to have. It's compact and you get a lot of lettuce off of it. So that's what I'm going to grow next. In an attempt to try and get broccoli or cauliflower to actually grow for me, I'm going to attempt to grow it in the spring and the fall. So that way one of the two is going to do better for me. But it's another one that I also think about when it comes to farmers, is that they take up a lot of land. Cabbage is the same. Like, they all take up a lot of space and you only get one item out of it. So a tomato plant takes up a lot of space, but you get a lot of tomatoes off of it before it ends its season, versus you grow a broccoli or a cauliflower. And once you harvest it, other than the variety that I'm growing here, the Sticicchio, does have side shoots on it. So you can get a little bit of extra, but otherwise that's a lot of space for a little bit of production, and you have to try and make your money back. Think about this often. And then finally, I am growing a red iceberg lettuce because this one just is really tasty. It's very buttery. It performs well in my garden. I really like the flavor of it. So that is what we're growing here. And I pre-watered my soil before I put it in here because I didn't want to get anything messy inside the house. So I did everything outside when I could. Take my picture. That's my labels, as long as I don't spin around the tray. And yeah, so the soil is already wet now, so I don't have to worry about that. And then I have my tray cover here that I'm going to put on, and let's go put it onto our seedling rack. And I also brought some more of these guys so that way I can lower the light fixture because it is a little too high. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to plug in the lights. Okay, I just needed the S clips for this, not the extra. All right. Put this guy under here. And then I'm actually not going to turn the lights on until I see any form of germination that's happening, because there's enough light here that the lettuce seeds will pop up on their own, because lettuce likes light in order to grow from seed. I have enough from this window that's up here, and then after that, once I start seeing some germination, I will throw these lights on. But otherwise, that is everything for setting up a fall garden from seed inside. Just a smaller setup that's a lot easier. Managing one tray is going to be really, really simple. And then once I upgrade it, I'm thinking I'll have maybe 3 trays in total, which is also so simple to manage. So I've already got those set up and in the house cleaned up for me to be able to bring in. And then I will give you guys an update in YouTube Shorts while I do it, so that way you can keep up with the progress of these. But if you did enjoy today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check out this video here. Bye. Hi, buddy. Boop.